All right. Well, welcome to another episode of the Bearclad Show. We're glad you're here joining us today. Got a great guest to join me on the podcast, a good friend, been with us for a long time, Mr. Darren Nicholson.
Honored to be here.
Man, it's
so glad
great
to be
have
here,
you, brother. It's good to see you. So this is kind of a great kickoff to the new year for us. This is our first episode in 2022, and
awesome.
Excited to have you. One of the things we're going to focus on in the first part of this year in our series of podcasts is this is our 10th year anniversary. Can you believe that?
Oh, my goodness. 10 years of Bear Waters Brewing.
10 years this year. Yeah. So a big milestone for us.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
That's great, man.
And, you've been part of that journey, so that's a great memory as part of, owning this company over the years and where we started. You remember we started in that little rinky-dink storage building warehouse over there and Hanging Dog over off of where the Publix is now.
I love that place. That was a cool vibe then. I mean, it was a cool place then,
It was. There's a lot of really special memories. I was talking to someone down at the town today because I was pulling a permit for another project, and they were talking about that particular location, and I said, it was really humble beginnings for us as a company, obviously, but it was a special place because there was really a lot of cool things that happened in that little tiny space. Because they say love grows best in small houses, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of the situation there early on, and timing-wise, it worked out. I think, we had a lot of good shows over there with you guys and some other musicians that traveled through. And,
sure.
And then, the send-off was even better because the night before we moved out, there was a drive-by shooting there, so that was pretty cool.
Well, that's usually a good indication. Maybe it's time to go. Maybe it is time to go somewhere else.
Those motorcycle club guys got a little rowdy at the end over there.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Some people need shooting.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true.
I mean, coming from a guy who's been married like 7 or 8 times, I mean, some people got it coming. All right, next question.
Well, hey, it's not necessarily a question, but I think, it's really cool. You and I have known each other now, obviously, for, I guess, 10 years. We met through the brewery, your music platform and me with the brewery. But, I've watched you progress in your career and what you've been through, and it's been pretty amazing to see everything that you've accomplished over the last decade as well, man. You've got quite the history with the music going on. You want to talk a little bit about what you've been up to?
Well, it's a journey. It's just like what you're going through, the longest journey begins with the first step. You start somewhere, and you want to progress, and sometimes even I don't know. I asked Mark Pruitt years ago the secret to being successful in bluegrass, and bluegrass is an underground form of music. And when I think of bluegrass, I mean it's a small business. It's an underground music, and so there's a lot of correlations with what you're doing. You're in an industry where there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of new competition. It's kind of a dog eat dog. The brewery world is exploding in a lot of ways. Bluegrass and underground music, there's only so many slots, and so you see breweries come and go. You see bands come and go. There's a lot of hardships with small business. There's a lot of hardships with having a band and touring. And so I asked Mark years ago, how do you be successful in a field like this? And there's a lot of parallels with what you do and what I do. And he said the ones who are successful are the ones who persevere.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for just not quitting. Yeah. Because some years are good, there's successes, and then there's a lot of setbacks, and there's things that are challenging, and that kind of shows you. And you see people come and go. Some people are of that ilk of some people are strong and want to persevere, and some people don't weather it as well. And if you have a passion for what you're doing, you'll see it through, or you'll figure out a way to regroup and redirect and try to get better. And that's what I've done with my music and my business. And I love the music, but I also take the business serious now, more so now than I used to.
Yeah.
You know, I had, and so, but I take the music more serious now than I used to, and I think that comes with getting older and
mature.
Yeah, just kind of.
Now we're mature, right?
Well, it is. You kind of grow up too, and
Yeah.
you know when you're younger and everything's fun and everything's a new idea and it's exciting and some things work and some things don't. But as you get older, you're like, all right, this is working. You know, you get rid of the negative stuff and try to replace it with the positive stuff that's working and kind of keep hammering that out. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, man, that's cool. I mean, you talk about setbacks. I call them landmines. You know, if there's been a few out there we've stepped on along the way, but you know, getting back up and dusting yourself off and keep moving forward. And you know, I think I heard somebody say once that you learn from your mistakes and that's how you grow. And I think that's really true. I think the important part about making those mistakes is you don't make them twice if you can help it. But, you know, I've certainly felt that over the 10 years of being in this journey with the brewery is, you know, we've made some mistakes here and there for sure. And you go, oh, man, that was like really, you know, could be a showstopper sometimes. But then, you suck it up and you go, hey, I got to press on because, you know, the passion that you have to see what's happening. And I would agree with you with the music world and the beer world. I think it's a community. It's real communal, and that's the one thing I love about the way the two industries align. A lot of the times, you know, with musicians and with craft brewers and stuff, is I think we understand each other in that regard. Where, you know, it's fraternal. You know, everybody kind of tries to help each other out, and you're rooting for each other, and you know, you see people go through that evolution. And you know, there's guys that I was friends with early on in our journey that aren't, you know, they're not in the industry anymore. They've kind of fallen off, and you go, wow, that's kind of crazy. So, yeah, when you hit that 10-year mark, you say, hey, you know, this is an accomplishment for us for sure, and we're excited to still be here after 10 years.
Yeah.
I remember when we announced that we were going to open a brewery in Haywood County, there was 3 of us at the same time, essentially, that's, you know, decided to step out and do that. And it was, you know, Frog Level with Clark Williams, and then the guys over at Tipping Point on Main Street, and then ourselves, you know, and we all opened within a couple of months of each other. And you know, it's as things have progressed, you know, Tipping Point went away, and then you know, Clark ended up selling the business to somebody else, and so, you know, here I am, I'm like kind of last man standing out of the original 3. But still, I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of a good thing to see how the industry has changed in that 10 years. But man, I've just enjoyed your friendship, and you know, part of the thing that's great about you, I think, is you know, when you come and play music, you just bring a space to life, man. I mean, not only through the music part, but I mean, you know, you're funny. You make those jokes, so you got those good one-liners that you know, everybody kind of groans through.
Well, yeah, you will. You know, you got to have fun, and you know, there is tragedy in comedy. And when I said earlier, you know, some people need shooting. Let me just clarify. That was a joke. You know, I didn't really mean that, but well, part of me meant that.
You're on the watch list now for sure.
But you know, I don't know. I use humor as a way to deal with stuff. My whole family was like that. I come from a very poor background, and my family, they have this really dark gallows kind of humor. My mother and my mother says things that I would never repeat. You know what I mean? Like that, like it's like Joan Rivers, you know, George Carlin kind of. And I'm like, Mom, please don't ever say that. And she doesn't say it in public, you know, but there's times where she really. And I think, you know, I think the way they grew up, that like being able to joke about really tragic things or dark things was the way they dealt with stuff. And I guess that's. You know, maybe it's an unhealthy way, maybe it's a healthy way. I don't know, but that's kind of the way we roll, and we have fun. And what you're talking about, like we, you know, sometimes we don't quit because early on in my music career, my music was all about me. Everything was about me. Yeah. I think most people really don't. They don't have a self-awareness of how self-centered they are, and I'm guilty as the next person. But when I went and played music, I wanted to do the songs that I like to do, and the songs that I was really into. Those are the ones I wanted people to like, and I didn't want to do Rocky Top. I didn't want to do the Free Bird. I didn't want to do the crowd pleasers. I wanted to do my music, which I still do. I'm writing original music, and I want to be known for doing my music. But as I get older, I realize that my job is to entertain the general public. And, part of my reason for persevering and not leaving the music business is I'm an entertainer. My job is to make people happy. Yeah. And my job is to try to make people laugh and entertain people, and to kind of be a break from reality for a little bit. Your job is not just to make a bunch of money and be known as the kingpin of brewing. Your job is you have employees. Yeah. You have a responsibility to the community. You've got a business where people are counting on a place that they can come in and order a beer and kind of check out for a few minutes after work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
are counting on that. It's not just I've got to reopen because I've got a business. Like other people are counting on it too, in the same way. I've got guys that work with me, and they're counting on me to book shows, and so I need to be a part of the community. I need to be doing shows like the fundraiser we did for the flood over here. I need to be doing shows for the community. We've got the Steve Sutton Memorial Benefit Scholarship show coming up. I started working on that again last night, and I'm constantly thinking about. It's not just about taking from the community. It's about giving back too, and just figuring out where your space is in the community. Oh yeah. And being a positive.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you brought up Steve because that's a cool topic. As before we started this podcast, I was showing you that picture of you guys playing in the old Waynesville location, and Steve made
we had so much fun.
Such an impression on me too. I mean, he was another bigger than life personality. You guys were great together, of course, but there was so much joy and so much laughter that came with the music that you guys created together, and those were some of my favorite memories of early on when you guys were playing at the brewery. And I approached you last year about kind of memorializing Steve's memory with the mural that we had done out here on this building, and it's just such a cool thing to have as part of our fabric because it's so intertwined in our story. And I just thought, we were going to put some artwork on the building. I was like, let's do something meaningful. Let's put a piece of history, music history, and Haywood County history on the building that I think is a great. It's a great piece of artwork, but it's also a way to tell a story about somebody that was such an impactful part of our community and in this community in the county that that we live in. And I was so thankful that we were able to do that, and you helped me with that and contacting the family, and it's just really a cool piece of what we now have as a memorial out on the side of the building. So
he's such a great guy. He was just such a great guy. His spirit represents everything I love about bluegrass, about Western North Carolina, and really about humanity. Yeah. Like Steve, if people knew his personal life and his personal story, he had a story of redemption and a story of really a life that was well lived. He done all these crazy, amazing things with his life. He had really dark periods of his life that he overcame and rebuilt, and he was an inspiration to me. He was a mentor. He helped a lot of young musicians, but he just always did it with such grace, and he was so nice to people who were not nice to him. Yeah. That was one thing that I learned. There's a lot of competition in the music world, you know what I mean? And there really shouldn't be, but there is. And man, I love to hold a grudge. You know, I used to love to, if somebody upset me or made me mad, I love to revel in that. And he was the first guy I was around who's like, you know, you got to be nice to that person. You got to really be nice to that person, even if they're not nice to you. You got to do the right thing. And he, as a young person, traveling with him and getting my first job, he just kind of flipped my head on how to like be around other people and like how to treat people and how to do the music business. A lot of it, it went in one ear and out the other immediately. But as I get older and I'm growing up now, a lot of those things are starting to come back. I'm like, I'm thinking of stuff he said, and I'm like, now I know what he meant. Yeah. You know, now it's all starting to click with me. And so I just think a guy like that is really missed in the community because he loved performing for people and making people happy. And like his legacy was sharing mountain music, sharing this culture and characters. There were characters in Western North Carolina like Raymond Fairchild and Popcorn Sutton and all the people up in Maggie Valley and all over Asheville too, you know, the Ralph Lewises of the world. And he loved like the legacy of like those fun people and the spirit of the music and pranking people and just laughing and having fun and just good-natured stuff that was just, you know, we had so much fun together. And just to see him out, you know, kind of memorialized like this on your building. And you know, we have friends that came in from Montana and came to Bear Waters Brewing and had their picture made beside Steve Sutton.
That's awesome.
My mother-in-law just came in from Michigan, and I was somewhere traveling playing music, and I got a picture because she wanted to come to Bear Waters and get her picture made by Steve Sutton on the wall. And it's just a really cool thing. I appreciate you doing that, and I miss him every day, and we want to keep that good vibe alive that he shared.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So talk a little bit too about your future, and I know you just had another album release. Is that right?
I have no future. I'm finished.
You're washed up.
I'm washed up.
You're not a one-hit wonder, are you? I mean, one of those.
I'm so washed up that people now tell their kids to go Darren Nicholson before supper.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you can only get so much mileage out of that one song that you did was Somewhere Over the Rainbow with the ukulele. That was really good.
It's not a ukulele. It's a donkey lute. I'm getting choked up.
Don't get just thinking about it. Easy. Anytime you bring up that donkey, this happens. And
this is what happens when you take a Bear Waters mug and go get some water out of the Pigeon River and drink it.
Well, what about that? I mean, that's another change you made. You've lost weight. You've stopped drinking. I mean, it's almost like you're on this spiritual conquest where you know.
To stay alive? Yeah, I am on a spiritual conquest to stay alive for another 6 months.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you're an inspiration in that regard. I mean, I look at you and I go, there's hope for me, maybe.
There's hope, folks. There is hope. If Darren Nicholson can do it, anybody can do it. You know, I did have to make some lifestyle changes, you know, and well, drinking was one of them. You know, it's been quite a while since I've had to drink alcohol, and
good for you.
And you know, that was interfering in just every part of my life, personally, musically, and I just, you know, I don't want anything hindering my music, my personal relationships, anything like that. It became, you know, when something becomes unhealthy, everybody decides when something's unhealthy for them, and so I quit doing that, and then I found myself eating like a gallon of ice cream every night, and I'm like, well, I've put down one thing and I've picked up another, and so, you know, I'm like, I don't want to do suicide on the installment plan, and so if I'm going to get healthy, I really want to kind of get healthy.
Yeah.
Always, and for me, it's physical, spiritual, and mental, and it's like a threefold thing, and so I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to get healthy. But it was one thing at a time, you know. Yeah. But I did go to this. It really all had to do with diet. I was exercising every day and gaining weight, and so, you know, I'm a firm believer you can't exercise your way to thinness, you know. But I changed my diet. I'm 125 pounds down from my highest weight now.
That's unbelievable.
And probably 75 pounds since March when I really started trying to do this thing.
That's fantastic. I mean,
I want to feel better.
I'm glad for you, man, because I remember you telling me that one time. You said, I'm sick and tired of feeling sick and tired.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's a good way to look at it, because I know, when my mom passed about 9 years ago, I mean, prior to that, I was out there doing, mountain biking and triathlons, and I went into this kind of funk afterwards, and it was like I gained a bunch of weight, and and like you said, you just you get to a point where you gotta reevaluate what you're doing. Is it self-harm, or is it is it really beneficial?
Right.
And I think everything, once you kind of get that clarity on where that sweet spot is for you, where you can really focus. And I went through a lot of that myself, and it was a big change for me when we left Waynesville about 4 years ago, and we bought this building here in Canton, and it was kind of a rebirth of the business, and I looked at it as a second chance to do things better or right, and we did, and it's been great. And we went from having 5 employees to now we have north of 50, and that's something else to look around. And like you were saying earlier, as a business owner, with that responsibility of all those employees that are feeding their families, and they're part of your company, and this is their livelihood, and suddenly things become so much bigger than just yourself, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's a pretty cool progression, whether you're doing it in music, or if you're doing it in small business, or however you're doing it. When you get to that point where you see that growth happen. And we'll talk a little bit about the new album, the new project that you just put out. Well, it all kind of ties in together. The album's called Man on a Mission.
And that's kind of what I feel like I am. And the songs are all written by me.
Cool.
I wrote all the songs. I've really gotten into songwriting the last couple of years. And, that's something that I always was a huge fan of songwriting, but I didn't do because, I'll be honest with you, I kind of lived a party kind of lifestyle. I love to party. And then when you're not partying, you're either you hung over, or you just, like, the next day, you don't feel like getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning and getting on a songwriting session. And so I'm doing this thing with you today at 2:30. I did a songwriting session yesterday, wrote a song with a girl in Nashville. I got up this morning, did a bunch of stuff around the house. I wrote a song today. I've got a brand new song today that I'm going in the studio tomorrow and recording. And so, like, there were all these years of that. I don't want to call them wasted, but I just wasn't as productive as I could have been, and so I kind of realize that now, and I'm just kind of refocused. I'm reinventing myself. And I want to be healthy, and I love the music so much that, like, I don't, all those years I've been playing bluegrass, and I think people know me from kind of Balsam Range, and the Darren Nicholson band, maybe, but there's just so much more to me and my music than people ever knew, but that I ever knew, that I ever tapped into. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was part of the reason, that was part of my depression and me maybe wanting to party a little bit, is because, like, I wasn't really fulfilling what I knew I was capable of either. It's like, and so now I'm like, there is more to me. This album is not bluegrass.
Oh wow!
It's a 6-song EP that's full on electric. It's more like country rock. There's a couple of country tunes on it, and but some of it's kind of edgier rock because. And I got a record producer. All my records in the past, I've produced myself.
That's awesome.
And so I wanted something to get me out of my comfort zone. I know how I can make a record, and I know what it's going to sound like. But I wanted something to push me, and it doesn't sound like anything else I've done. And so I've got, in the past year and a half, I've recorded a gospel record. I've got over 20 songs that I've written that are new songs, plus this 6-song EP of new electric music. And And I've got an instrumental record that I released 2 years ago. I've got another EP of original music. And there's all this stuff there's a bunch of stuff on the shelf that I can release tomorrow that just hadn't come out yet. But because I've been so creative and so productive. And so maybe I'll do, I love people like Marty Stewart and Daryl Scott, because Marty Stewart, he might do a black gospel CD. He might do a California psychedelic country record. He might do a rock and roll record. He might do a blues record, country, gospel, bluegrass. But I know his records are always going to be good, but he's always pushing for something else.
Yeah.
And so that's just where I'm at. It's not that I don't know who I am, but I'm still, I don't know if I found the best version of myself yet, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah,
is I'm still trying to learn who I am.
And we know now, from the Weather Channel and the news and stuff, if the music side doesn't work out, you've got a future in Christmas trees.
Oh, that's right.
So.
Yes. I was on the Weather Channel 52 times in 24 hours one year.
It was amazing. I saw you up there with the Christmas trees, and so that's another interesting wrinkle in your background is your association with is it the Boyd family?
Boyd Mountain Christmas Tree Farm. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. The past year was the 8th season with them.
That's amazing.
7 or 8 years.
Did you guys sling some trees this year?
They sold a bunch of them, about 6,000 choose and cut trees.
Golly,
it's an amazing operation. Beautiful farm, the premium Christmas trees, and it's right here in Haywood County.
It's amazing.
Haywood County is an amazing place. So,
well, we're glad that you were able to kind of come in here and tell your story. I'd love for you if you want to grab an instrument out and rip off something.
Well, sure. I'd love to.
For the folks that are tuning in for this today,
I'd love to
have you do that. Kind of a cool little.
Man, thank you for what you do, man. You were one of the first. Stephen with the Darren Nicholson band, Bear Waters was one of the first gigs we did with that band.
Yeah.
We always got together with that band as a side project just for fun, just for an excuse to get together and play music. And we love doing Bear Water. We always had a big time. Sometimes too much fun. Yeah. But we love Bear Waters and appreciate everything you do for us.
We appreciate you. And we're so thankful. And, when you're able to do something like this for a 10-minute, or 10-minute, it feels like 10 minutes sometimes, 10-year stretch. To have look back and see the people who are really, no pun intended, instrumental in, our story and our growth. And you guys are such a cool piece of that storyline for me. And I just love you guys. I enjoyed my conversations with Steve on the side. I enjoyed, our friendship, and you've always been super great to us and super accommodating anytime. I know you've got a super busy schedule out there, and when I reach out to you and say, hey, you got some time to come down here, you make a hole for us to come in and play, and we look forward to having you maybe this year for, some music.
Would love to.
And,
especially in warm weather, we can get outside and everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And, with the big anniversary, 10-year anniversary party coming up this year, we got to do something special. So
I'm in. Count us in.
Absolutely.
That picture you showed me from the old Bear Waters, I remember that night because Miriam Sonstas, this great fiddle player, she's a friend of ours. There was this trio of young ladies that we met from Vancouver Island, British Columbia. You remember that? She came down and she played with us that night. She played her fiddle, and all the way from Vancouver Island, and there she is in Bear Waters Brewing in Waynesville, North Carolina, with her fiddle. She's this amazing, world-renowned musician, and that's what music does. But places like Bear Waters, what a great way to bring people together. And the last couple of years it's been hard because we've had things that have pushed us apart. And so anytime we can grab something that's hopeful or inspirational to bring us all together, and if you're down for a party, we're down to celebrate and get everybody together.
Fantastic. Well, it's always a good time, man, and people really love you guys in the community and come out in spades whenever you're here, and it's always a good time. And I think that's what's great. Your roots are so tied here, and you can feel that. it's organic, it's real. You have a real connection, I think, with this place, and I feel like that's special. You don't see that too, like you were saying earlier. A lot of people come and go in different industries, and the fact that we're both sitting here today, a little grayer,
too dumb to quit.
It's awesome. So why don't you take us out today with a little rip here?
I'll be glad to do it,
and we'll wrap this up.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, brother. All right, we're rolling.
This is a song off the Man on a Mission EP that I wrote called Southern Ground. Where the magnolias dance to the whippoorwill's tune, and the glow of the skyline don't drown out the light of the moon. By the time you get back, well, I won't be down, 'cause I'm headed home to southern ground. If I could go home yesterday, wouldn't be soon enough, 'cause life in the city for a simple man sure can be rough. It's where I'll draw my last breath when life's evening sun goes down. Now I'm sinking low and low, and I want to plant my feet on southern ground. I look into the mirror, and I don't like the man I see. You locked up a tender heart, threw away the key. You love the easy life, but you're not the kind to settle down. So I bought a one-way ticket home to southern ground. If I could go home yesterday, wouldn't be soon enough, 'cause life in the city for a simple man sure can be rough. It's where I'll draw my last breath when life's evening sun goes down. Now I'm sinking low and lonely, and I want to plant my feet on southern ground. It's where I'll draw my last breath when life's evening sun goes down. Tired of sinking low and low, and I want to plant my feet on southern ground. Yeah, I'm sinking low and lonely, and I want to plant my feet on southern ground.
Wow, man. That's incredible.
Mistakes and all.
Well, man, I really appreciate that. That was a real gift. And
well, thank you.
I enjoyed that. So tell folks where they can find your music, where they can, get in touch with you. And
DarrenNicholson.net, DARREN, Nicholson like Jack, NICHOLSON.
Get a little closer to that mic. I know you're afraid of it.
DARREN, NICHOLSON.net.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. And I understand you have a little special gift you want to leave me with today.
That's right. I've got the new Darren Nicholson Nature Boy decal right here.
Oh, man. I can't wait to put that's going to look really good on that Gladiator I got out there, too, because it's the right colors, that red and gray and black. Heck, yeah.
Styling and profile.
Man, I tell you what, you're a beautiful man. All right, brother. Well, I really appreciate you joining me today on this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It was awesome. And look forward to, being with you again shortly, and here's to another 10 years, brother.
Good boy.
All right. Cheers.
I'm originally from a little community called Tuckasegee, North Carolina. And before Cullowhee Valley School was built, the last year that I lived in Jackson County, before we moved, the old school was the Camp Lab Elementary School. We were the Camp Lab Rebels. That was the elementary school. And it was kindergarten through 8th grade.
Yeah.
And for the first grade talent show, I sang this song. And it's an old Bill Monroe song about catching a rabbit and cooking it and eating it, so. But for people who are kind of sensitive to this subject, no rabbits were harmed during the singing of this song, okay? There's a rabbit in the log and ain't got my dog. How will I get him? I know. I'll give me a briar and I'll twist in his hair. That's how I'll get him. I know. I know. I know. That's how I'll get him. I know. I'll get me a briar and I'll twist in his hair. That's how I'll get him. I know. We'll feast here tonight while the moon's shining bright. Cook him until he's golden brown. We'll feast here tonight with the moon shining bright. Find us a place to lie down, to lie down, to lie down. Find us a place to lie down. We'll feast here tonight while the moon shining bright. Find us a place to lie down. Ahead, there's no farmer ship. Just a little ways ahead, there's no farmer ship. Find us a place to lie down, to lie down, to lie down. Find us a place to lie down. Just a little ways ahead, there's no farmer ship. Find us a place to lie down. How will I get him? I know. I'll get me a briar and I'll twist in his hair. That's how I'll get him. I know. I know. I know. That's how I'll get him. I know. I'll get me a briar and I'll twist in his hair. That's how I'll get him. I know.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I forgot the word.